Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem, performed this afternoon by Peter Griffin and his dirt bike.
Hey, this is Ryan Villapoto, and listen to DMXS Radio.
Guys, welcome back to DMXS Radio. Once again, after 24 years, we're still doing this dumb-ass show. We thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Hey, make sure you check out the Jet Lawrence pod, the Austin Forkner, and David Villeman pod I just did last week. Those guys have basically the last month or so make sure you check them out if you haven't so far. Thank our sponsors who make all this possible: Racer X, MX Sports, W Wheels, OJO Concept 2 Rowers, and of course, Dunlop Tires, the best tires in the business, including the all-new Geomax Factory Spec Tire, run with the pros run. That's available this month, so check them out at Ride Dunlop. And now it's time to welcome back one of my guys. It's one of my favorite championships of all time, Mr. RJ Hampshire. Welcome back, champ.
How's it going, guys? Man, hey, it's glad to be on. It's been a bit, I think, ever since the championship, right?
Yeah, I have been trying to get you on for a minute, and I knew you were going to get blown up after the championship, but so I kind of gave you a break about that. Then, of course, all the stuff over the summer and your surgery and stuff, and then I hit you up in October. I'm like, hey, man, let's catch up. And you're like, I have to go back in for surgery. It's like, oh man, it was
that exact week. I remember it, and I was out in California, and then I had to text you on the day out. I think we were supposed to do it. And I was like, dude, got bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah, going back under.
Hey, but at least you know you can trust me, because I didn't tell a soul about that, and I felt bad for you, but I also was glad that it happened when it did, because basically gave you a little bit of time, because you got back after the outdoor national. You're in the off season. You're like, man, get back on the bike like it's going to be better, and it's actually worse than before the first surgery.
Dude, it was so worse. Like, it was way worse. I was so bummed because, we had 6 weeks off, and like I was riding, those SMX rounds. Like, dude, my wrist was killing me.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I kept going in too and getting, X-rays. Like, all right, and it was just getting like a tad bit better each time. And then I went in 2 weeks before I got back on the bike. So this was mid-October-ish, and I told him, I was like, hey, look, like, still not feeling great. Let's try to get a shot in it or something and kind of see where it goes. So I get the shot in it, starts feeling better. And then my first day on the bike, dude, it was the worst it's been since I got the first surgery. So yeah, I told the guys, I was like, hey, look, I got to get back in for, another appointment.
Yeah.
I had one scheduled for Wednesday, and dude, whenever we did that first X-ray, you could tell right away, like, that screw was in there kind of like wallowing out. So there was so much black next to the screw, and it pushed through the entire bone. So yeah, not good. Right away, I had to get back in for surgery.
And anybody that has broken a bone or rides motocross, when you go get x-rays, black is not good. Black means it's broken or there's no bone around the screws or plates or whatever. That's not a shadow is not good. Yeah,
exactly. And how this injury has been, like from the beginning, I had too much space almost, like because the bone that I, fractured, it's a very hard bone to heal if it's done right, like done perfect.
Yeah.
So, and it was just happened to be that the spacing on one side of it was always a little bit too far. And I'm not a doctor, but I could tell, like, it's going to take a lot for that thing to fill in.
It's just like a mechanical, looking at it like, hey, that's just a big gap.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like I'm going to need a bone graft or something to fill that in, but just kept getting a little bit better. And, man, just was at a point where, look, like you said, I caught it at a good enough time where I could get it done and still be ready to go for Supercross. So in the hindsight of it, like, yeah, of course I'm bummed I have to go back in for another surgery, but it was like, okay, I can, take these 6-7 weeks off and then, still be back on the bike. And honestly, today I had my CT scan and tomorrow will be kind of my first day back on the bike. So I still have, time to get ready to go racing.
And you had the same bike, which is at least you're not launching a brand new bike and starting from scratch with stuff.
Oh man. Yeah. It's funny. Funny you bring that up because, I don't know what I can say or can't say, but we did have some things I was testing in those first couple of days I got back on the bike.
Yeah.
And quite a bit different than what I just won my championship on.
Okay.
Pretty big difference. And then, this happens or whatever, and, we have a phone call the week after my surgery, and we all agreed that we don't have the time to go down that route. So we are sticking with what I won my championship on.
Good.
Yeah. So we all agreed where we do have some smaller adjustments we are making that are going to make the bike better.
Okay.
But for the main part, chassis-wise, suspension almost the exact same as what I had this year. So yeah, that's what I'm getting on, and the big change that we were going to make is probably not happening now. Which for the big picture was a much better route.
Dude, if I'm you, I've won a championship. I'm like, Husky, just give me the bike, the shit I won on the West Coast. Just give me that bike. I'm on a 450 after this. I'm not going to be your test rider for the 250 stuff.
Hey, exactly. You just explained it perfectly. Yeah. And that's what I told him. I'm like, look, I have 10 races left on this bike. And I love where I'm at right now. Yeah. I just won a championship, the best I've ever done in my career. Like, let's try not to change too many pieces on it.
Yeah, I don't want to be your guinea pig going through the whoops in my first 3 or 4 rounds. You guys tweak this stuff out before I hop on the big bike.
Well, you know that a little bit too well.
And during the press conference, this cracked me up because if you have not cut off your own cast in motocross, and dude, you haven't been riding long enough. We all kind of have, but it was funny that you cut your cast off for the press conference. It's like, you're like, I don't want the photo op of me being wounded coming into the season.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't like I was hiding it.
No.
Like, dude, everybody knew I had surgery, but then, dude, I had, a massive kind of event happen right after that.
Uh-huh.
So it was like, not in a really good spot. And then I had mini O's, a few weeks after that where I went there for a signing. And like I was walking around with a cast on. So it wasn't like I was trying to hide it, but it was also like, all right, now I don't want to have a cast on that gets showed in videos and commercials all year long. Like, So, and I was at the 5-week mark anyways, and I was planning on going the week after to get it cut off. So I called my doctor. I was like, hey, look, I've got videos and cameras and stuff. I'm cutting this thing off. And so I did do it the right way. I at least told him I was doing it.
Yeah.
And then whenever I got back that next week, I went in and seen him right away. And he's like, I think we should put another cast on for, 6 days. And I was like,
that's funny.
Man,
smart ass.
No, we ain't getting a cast back on there. Like, we can put a brace on for these last week or so, but I ain't getting back in the cast.
How do you cut yours off? I've tried it different with Dremels and snips, and it's not as easy as you think.
No, and that's the thing is it's been a while since I've had to cut one off. So I was at Dr. G's office out there in California. So I waited to the last minute. So I flew all the way out to California and went to G's office, and I thought he would have something in his office to get this thing. Oh yeah, like he's a doctor, like whatever. He's plenty of guys that are probably cutting these off. Dude, I get there and he's like, so how are you going to cut that off? I'm like, well, I was to ask you that. He's like, dude, all I have is scissors. So he probably had 6 pairs of scissors laying around the office. So I had to keep going through each pair. That would get too dull, and then it would stop cutting. And then, like, dude, it was honestly, it probably took me about 45 minutes to an hour to get that thing off.
It's brutal because I've cut myself doing it. I've used the Dremel thing, which is good, but you can't go through with your skin on that. I've used the shingle snips, and those are the best, but they're hard to get in between. And it's definitely a process. Those things are not meant to come off without a cast saw.
No, exactly. I didn't have enough pairs of scissors to cut the top too, so I only had the bottom cut. So then I had his assistants in there trying to pry my arm out, or pry it big enough so I can get it out. It was a lot harder than what I was expecting, though.
Well, the good thing is it wasn't long enough for it to be a full stink cast, right? It wasn't like it was rotten flesh underneath smelling of a bad cast in the summer.
No, it wasn't. Well, the first one I had on for a couple weeks was just kind of the cotton and everything else. So the second one I had on, I made sure it's waterproof. Yeah. It has to be waterproof. There's no athlete that's gonna make it 4 or 5 weeks with a dang cotton or whatever. You have to have a waterproof. And I mean, there's no way you're training with a normal cast on. And I had to train, of course, because now we're getting close. So all the runs and stuff, man, it would have been ugly. It'd been ugly.
I know it's late for Amazon to deliver something, but I might get you a cast saw for Christmas, just so you have one in your garage to
No, dude, that's bad luck. Don't send that to my address. Send that to G.
Exactly. Send it to an actual doctor's office that should have that shit and not some dull scissors on there.
Yeah, exactly.
So cardio-wise, that's the one good thing about a wrist, hand, shoulder, whatever. You can still do cardio. So I'm sure fitness-wise, other than just seat time, and I mean, you're still pounding out, and your heart rate, your cardio is good, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I'm been running a lot. I put in some miles.
Yeah.
And different workouts here and there, legs and stuff like that. I don't know if you know Alfie. Oh. So Alfie's the BMX guy who runs Alcavi with Alden.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he's been he's trying to go to the Olympics for sprinting, for the 100-yard sprint.
Oh shit.
So he's been doing some workouts, nearby with Noah Lyles, coach, who's another Olympic guy.
Olympic guy, sure.
Yep. So I've been with him a couple days out there doing his kind of Olympic sprint workouts and drills and stuff, which is just something different. Cause dude, I'm ready to kick rocks out there while I'm doing dang runs. It's getting so boring. But yeah, I mean, it's dude, I'm probably in one of the best shapes I have been in right now. Cause it's hard to replicate racing or riding. But what I've found is running is the closest thing that you can get to that. Dude, your heart rate's always so high.
It's peaked out.
With where I live there's a lot of hills, so it's constant up and down. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel good. I'll find out tomorrow though.
That's true.
Back on the bike.
Hey, I forgot in that video when you guys were out there sprinting. Who was the fastest? Was it you? Was it Malcolm?
Oh man, well, I want to redo now because now I actually have technique and kind of been working at it a little bit. I didn't have shoes on.
Okay.
And I was, it was Malcolm beat me.
Okay. Okay.
I was a close second.
Okay. What are you doing? I mean, you can't sprint without shoes. You're not, I mean, you're not a native runner that does this stuff from Kenya. I mean, you need shoes to compete in sprinting.
Dude, not only that, so I didn't say anything, but during that 40, I gave it everything I had.
Yeah.
And dude, I popped my rib out. So this was before.
Oh my God!
This was right before Ironman. So we did that on Tuesday, and dude, my ribs were killing me, but I couldn't say anything. Dude, this guy just popped his rib out doing a sprint race. And he has to get raced over the weekend. Dude, for the longest time, I was sore from that dang 40 meter race or 40-yard race or whatever.
They would never let you live that down if you said I popped a rib doing running. They would never let you
I had to. No, the guys I was training with, I had to tell them on Thursday whenever I showed up, we were riding, and I'm like, dude,
I'm down.
I'm not even BSing you guys right now. It's hurting. Yeah. And then Malcolm was sore, his calf or something. Dude, honestly, the 40-yard dash almost took us all out.
That's not.
But yeah, next time I'm gonna have shoes. I got that technique now. But another thing, Mookie watched that documentary on Netflix, Sprint.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen it or not. So he had the technique and the style.
Oh wow!
I was just straight
like schoolyard. Yeah, you're like fifth grade schoolyard, just sprinting at recess. That's all you.
Yeah, and you're going to tell me Malcolm at that time he was pushing 190. He was going to go faster than me, and 40 yard. No shot. Yeah, but he won.
190. Yeah, I'm sure that would be his target weight. I think that might be a little bit higher than that. He's still a big ass dude.
I will give it to him, dude. He was a big boy last year. Like he'll agree with me on this. So it's not like I'm talking crap to him.
Yeah,
he was 195 some days. Like he was up there.
Yeah,
dude. He showed up first day of boot camp this year. Just a few weeks ago. First weigh in 180.
Good for him.
Dude, he's down 15 pounds. He's light, lean. Like, man, what? He's ready to go this year.
RJ, you can't hide it in tight gear. The gear you guys run now, you cannot hide an extra 10 pounds. That is obvious.
Yeah, you can tell too. Watching him, I don't know if he's even really posted much.
Yeah.
But if you see him on a bike right now, you can definitely tell he's down a good 10 to 15 pounds.
Yeah. What do you think about the tight gear? Being obviously when you're coming up with mini bikes, it was never like this. What do you think of this tight gear as being the new style?
I mean, it's hard to say. Like my favorite style of gear from Fly, was the almost their cheaper style gear, like the not so stretchy pants and whatever else.
The old school stuff.
I don't know. Yeah. It's really comfortable, and the way that they can make this gear now for the heat, it's almost like you're not even wearing anything. Which is, these hot summer days, like it definitely plays a big role.
Yeah.
But dude, the technology and crap in this, like the new Fly stuff that we have coming out, is so good. Even like there's been a lot of kind of changes over there at Fly. And dude, the new guys that are running it are kind of taking care of everything.
Good.
It's cool. Like I'm able to do kind of my own, custom stuff. Like I did a couple, rounds of SMX, I think.
Nice. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's cool. And I know we'll have a couple other ones coming out this year, but something to look forward to. And honestly, the gear that they do that with is like my favorite now.
You know what that tight gear is not cool in is plus classes and local C and D classes.
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna like the stuff that I like the most. Was that you have some room to move around a bit.
Yeah, like when you're literally looks like your gear was painted on the starting line. 35 plus guy, go old school, go old cotton Jeff Emig black Fox jersey.
You got to be able to hide those rolls.
You don't know anything about that, but I'm sure you will one day. Hey, this did bump your 450 Supercross stuff for the East Coast. I know that bumped it a little bit, but I like what you said that it might not be part of the plan. This might end up being a good thing where now you can just focus on winning on both coasts and knocking out a 250 Supercross championship before you move up and not worry about the 450. Yeah,
and you guys have been around long enough where. These riders can come up with a plan and, everything sounds great. And, there's the very slim chance that these plans actually happen. Like I said, are very slim. Like there's not a good chance they end up happening. And that's what this was like, yeah, it sounded great. And, it would get me kind of ready for my full 450 debut next year.
Yeah.
But man, it's crazy because things were kind of rushed whenever I got back on the bike, whenever my wrist started hurting. Like I was supposed to test the 450 later that week. So things kind of got pushed along a little bit faster. And, I'm to blame for that. Team's to blame for that. Like there's a bunch of people that kind of played a role in that. And, man, it just was like, as soon as that happened, it was like, okay, this is a sign where, hey, look, you need to focus on what you're paid to do right now. And that's to race the 250 Supercross and, back up your championship, which I'm completely okay with. Like, yeah, of course you want to run the number one play, and I still kind of hoping I can. But worst case is I go East Coast and, have a chance to win both. And also you look at the schedule and, it starts in Tampa, which is, my home race, Daytona. Like, man, I was always an East Coast kid, and it wasn't until the last couple of years where I was almost forced to race West just because I was the one that was healthy and whatever else. And
top
that was
guy.
kind of it kind of flipped. Like, I liked West Coast more, was somehow better on the harder pack tracks, which I still don't really understand.
That's crazy. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Like Florida kid that grew up in the sand, and somehow my best rides have been on the hardest pack dirt. So yeah, just kind of looking at the big picture, like, okay, now anytime that I do have on the 450, we can just focus on getting ready for outdoors, where I'm not trying to bounce back and forth. And you look at the schedule, and there wasn't many that I was going to be able to actually race on a 450. Like, I think we sat down and there was only maybe 2 that were for sure, because they threw in those 3 East-West showdowns.
Yeah, the showdowns. Yep.
Yeah. So it was like, man, it would have been tough from the beginning, because like I would have to race a 250 one weekend, 450 the next, and then be back on a 250 for an East-West showdown.
Yeah,
so
that's not a lot.
The logistics of it all, it would have been, pretty hectic. But, like you said, I'm contracted to race a 250, and that's just what I wanted to do. It's not going to happen in Supercross this year.
Has the team not officially put you on the East Coast? I mean, are you guys waiting for that big announcement? There's no way you're riding the West Coast.
Man, it might.
What?
Like I just told you I'm on the same bike as last year.
Oh,
so it's not like I have to test anything crazy.
Oh, you better do the East Coast. I want to see you race the whole East Coast and get a dub championship on both coasts going to the 450. That's what I want. I'm selfish.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Like, I'm getting back on the bike tomorrow, so unless I don't know, I can't say too much because
that's 3 weeks
away. Comes into play. Yeah. Like, who knows? I might feel like right at home when I get on this bike and can knock out 20s, no problem. But like I said, I'm not bummed, or I'm not going to push it if I, have to race East Coast. Like, that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah. And Deegan announced West Coast, which I love because, I know that Mitch Payton and all the teams play this, Russian roulette up until the last possible second to announce the riders. It's refreshing to hear a guy be like, a month out, like, hey, this is where I'm racing.
Yeah, exactly. And I would be in his spot too if I was healthy enough to go. Like,
yeah.
Even last year I said, like, look, I'm racing West Coast at that photo shoot or the media day in December. Like, look, I'm racing West Coast. And I feel like that's how it should be. Like, look, if whoever's healthy enough to go race Anaheim 1, go race Anaheim. Like, you're risking so much waiting these extra 4 weeks and still training and putting in laps. Like, man, the health of, us Supercross racers, it's hard to, come by. So if you're healthy, you need to go racing. Like, anyone sitting out, it's almost kind of foolish to, think that's a better route. I understand some of these teams, like, they have, 15 guys. So those guys probably have to plan to, race East Coast. But if you're healthy, you're fast, you feel like you're ready to go, and man, go race West Coast, get going.
Dude, Star Racing has such young riders. He has to worry about like bedtimes and stuff, like parents' bedtimes for their kids. Like, I mean, these kids they feel like they're freaking junior high school. Like, he can't race the West Coast. He's got a bedtime. I'm sorry. He's going to be up too late.
Or there's some of them that still haven't even came here yet, still from overseas that they're trying to find.
Yeah, that's true too. That's awesome.
They don't even have it's funny. I seen like the photo shoot or whatever, and there was a couple bikes that didn't even have numbers on them yet.
Yeah, it's just like it is literally throwing as many bikes at a championship as you can possibly, and what sticks. I mean, that's Bobby's plan.
Who else wants a chance on this thing?
Yeah, that's it. Well, the 450 and motocross, no matter what happens, no matter which coast you ride, rocking coming summer, you're never going to ride a 250 again. You're 450 full time after Supercross, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
and it hasn't been announced, I don't think, but yes, I've said it a few times and I haven't gotten in trouble for it. So yeah, I'm racing. I'm contracted now for 450 full time after Supercross.
That is awesome. I can't wait for that. And I did want to see you, race a couple. I mean, there are good things and bad things about the, racing a 450. We've seen guys do it and come out and have great success, moving up during those off rounds for their 250 round races. But I love this for you. As much experience as you have, you don't need anything else. And I didn't even think about the, the Triple Crowns and all that stuff. It's like, that's not the hassle you need, especially coming off of an injury with limited seat time, coming into, whichever coast you're going to ride. I think it was maybe a blessing in disguise for your last year on 250 and Supercross.
Yeah, definitely. And especially like just all the crap that happened right after this. Like, man, it's just crazy to think about like the big picture on it all, and you know, where I was at, and yeah, man, like the time off definitely it sucked, but it was also good. Like I kind of lost a lot of, like, I wouldn't say like motivation, but man, I was struggling there for a bit. Like I didn't even care to go ride or anything. Like with you know, we have some land over here now, and man, that's kind of all I was really wanting to do. And I don't know, that's that time off. Like these last couple of weeks, man, I've got that itch back now where I think, okay, I want to go racing. Like I want to, you know, put in the work, and like I've never gone away from training hard. Like of course, like that's just who I am. Like I'm gonna you know, work my ass off. But it was just like, man, I had a feeling where it was like, I don't know, didn't really know. I don't know. It's hard to say until you're kind of in this position where I just didn't have that like, excitement to get back on the bike.
Yeah.
But like, dude, that switched so fast where now it's like, okay, like I need to get my wrist healthy because I want to be back to that level where, you know, I know I can go out and win almost every weekend. And to be honest with you, the, you know, 4 races I did at the end of, you know, the year, I was not even close to being healthy. And, you know, a lot of those big crashes probably came in because of that.
Yeah, that's
so
focus.
Last time I was healthy was, you know, Salt Lake, and that's where I won my championship. So
wow,
that was kind of where I was like, okay, look, I need to get back, you know, healthy 100%, and then, you know, mentally put myself back in that position where I know I can go out here and battle for this championship, which whatever coast I'm on, like, yeah, I'm excited to get to it. And then like that next chapter in my career of that 450, like now it gives me something to kind of look forward to, and I don't know, kind of drive myself to be better. And like, I'm excited, man. Like, I don't know where I'm really going to be. I don't think really anybody knows once I get on a 450. But just to have that new kind of goal, because I mean, I hit what I've always wanted in the Super D class now, and that's, you know, to win that championship. And, you know, I did that. Now it's like, okay, now what's next, which everybody says that in our sport. And yeah, I'm kind of in that stage right now.
You know, I've known you a long time, RJ. We go way back, and you said this on Instagram, or I wouldn't even bring this up, is, you know, the passing of your dad. If you don't want to talk about that, then we won't. And that was the you know, the life stuff that you were dealing with, and you were very honest about losing your motivation and all of that as you were, you know, dealing with that. You know, even after during your injury. I mean, that must have been the toughest time of your career and your life to this point.
Yeah, man, it was really tough, and in our sport, and not just even in our sport, but kind of in general. Like the last couple years of, you know, my dad and I's relationship wasn't great, and you know, everybody knew that kind of knew me, and you know, I've always been thankful, you know, for what my dad has given me throughout my life.
Sure,
and a lot of my characteristics that came from him, like that, you know, work ethic and never give up. Like that's who my dad was. So yeah, then like, dude, I have the surgery, and, you know, at a pretty kind of low spot, and I get a call, man, 2 weeks after that where, yeah, your dad passed. And just like time after time, like I just kept getting kind of another punch here, another punch there. So yeah, it was a lot, man. Like I went through a couple of weeks where didn't even care to ride dirt bikes, wasn't even, you know, on social media really, like didn't really want to talk to anyone, which, I mean, everybody can kind of see where I was. And
understood. Yeah,
man, I just needed to get that kind of drive back and look into see what I was going to do after dirt bikes. And, you know, it was just like, man, I don't know, you just have a lot of questions, and
that puts things in perspective. There's nothing. I mean, that wasn't just a gut punch. That was a sledgehammer to the chest, because your dad was so young. I mean, it was unexpected, and it's not like, you know, he was 90 years old and, you know, you guys, you know, had made amends. I mean, you have all of these issues, you know, between that relationship, and then for that to happen, you've got all of that on top of the unexpected announcement that, you know, your dad has passed away at such a young age.
Yeah, man, it was tough too. And I do have a picture. So my dad was actually at Salt Lake for the championship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which was just something I kind of always hold on to now, which, yeah, of course, you know, you don't think at the time where, you know, there was a lot of times where I didn't really want him at the races, but he would still show up. And yeah, that was happened to be, one he was at. And, yeah, just crazy, man. And like, I had a feeling for some reason that the phone call, because I've gotten so many phone calls where it was like, hey, your dad's done this, head into the hospital. Like that was my dad just doing something crazy and, wrecking something or whatever. And, man, just had that feeling for some reason that something was not good. And first phone call I got was, hey, he's heading to the hospital, whatever, I'll let you know. And then literally 5 minutes later, got another call where, yeah, he's gone. So it literally happened that fast. Like, it wasn't even like you can really say, your buys or anything like that. But yeah, man, just a really kind of tough few weeks. And then, like, even if I was healthy, I wouldn't have been able to ride my dirt bike for, a couple weeks after
just
that.
Mentally check. Yeah, mentally, you were done. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. And then, like, man, I had his funeral week after that, and man, you would have been blown away with the turnout. Like,
That's
we had,
great.
Close to 1,000 people show up there. Like, they couldn't even get into the, service area or whatever. Like, that's how many people showed up for, my dad, and just kind of shows the man he was and the relationships that, he's built and grown over the years. I'm sure you guys have had conversations with him.
Yeah, we all knew Ricky. I mean, if you're in the sport long enough, and we knew that, I talked to Reedy after his dad passed, and, they had a very tumultuous relationship, pretty much after he turned pro. And, he had to come to terms with all that stuff. And I said to him, I said, man, there is such a unique relationship between a son and a man as you're growing up in motocross or racing. And you guys share that journey to that top, and only you two know what that's like. But that's such a unique thing, because it's like what our relationship would have been without the stresses of this added pressure of what we were trying to accomplish. I mean, there's so many, intangibles that you're trying to comprehend.
Yeah. And honestly, I talked to Chad, actually. Chad reached out and talked to me a bit after this also. But man, I kind of look at it as a big picture now, and sit back and watch kind of change so much these last few years. And I don't know if it could maybe help these kids out now or what, but so growing up, it's you and your dad going to the races. Your dad does everything for you. He's your mechanic, takes care of you, drives you, does everything. Well, then you become successful in the sport, and now you're flying everywhere. So your dad doesn't have to drive.
Right.
Next you have a full-time mechanic. Now your dad doesn't have to
wrench,
be your mechanic, doesn't have to do anything. So it just keeps going and going. And now it's like, look, now your dad's just there to be supportive, where his whole life or your whole life, that was kind of everything.
He was everything.
Like he did everything for you.
Yeah, literally.
So that switch from being a dad, of like a supportive dad and doing everything for you, now just to be in
the shadows. Yeah.
A supportive dad, where it's like, hey, I'm just going to be there on the weekend, let you do your thing. And like, man, it's such a hard switch. And, that's what it was with my dad. Like, he drank a lot my whole life. And, it's getting pretty deep now, but, I can talk about it. Like he drank a lot. Well, he wasn't going to drink whenever we were at the races or I was racing or he had to be my mechanic. Well, now he doesn't have to do that anymore. So that alcohol or whatever gets, a lot earlier than what it would have before.
Yep.
So yeah, like that was our main kind of differences. And, man, something he struggled with, really bad. We both did. So, and you wish that, time goes on and, once this racing was over, things got better. And, it possibly could have, but you kind of never know now. Like I said, it was such a, shock, and, his heart just stopped. So there was kind of no coming back from that, from the time it stopped. And he got to the hospital and they never were able to get it back going again.
Yeah.
So yeah, just kind of put it in perspective. Like I see it so much now too with, kids that are my age that don't have relationships with their parents. And, man, they were everything, the dad was everything to the kid his whole life and got him to where he was. And now it's like really not involved anymore. And it's so sad to see. And, I was in the same kind of situation as these guys.
And that's the whole thing. And that was probably one of the most, honest 5 minutes we've ever done on our show in the last 2 decades. That was awesome. I'm glad that you spoke up and you were able to, elaborate a little bit behind the scenes of what that's like, because that's I'm sure a lot of people, your age and older went through that, and they're maybe, estranged from their dad or their parents because of these things. And these are all, all the stuff that you guys go through that nobody thinks about during the weekend. When they get on and say, oh, he sucks. The results, whatever. I mean, you guys are human beings. I mean, this is the stuff you guys are dealing with, week in and week out. This is like the real world. This is real life. And you got shocked into that perspective, with the passing of your dad. But, this is just what everybody deals with. This is why we're humans. That's why that has to be the bigger picture above anything you ever do on a dirt bike. Yeah.
And it's like, man, you'd be shocked on how many people reached out to me and kind of explained almost the same thing I did, that they had the same relationship with their parents or their dad and gone through the same thing. And yeah, man, it's tough, especially in our sport. And I got to a point in my life where it was affecting me more on the weekends, worrying about him or whatever it was going on, where that's why I had to kind of separate myself to, make my career. Like, our careers are only so short. And
you had to save yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You get to that point where it's like, look, I made it to a point where, I'm at the top of, kind of our sport, where I won a championship, and, he's there for it all. Like, it doesn't get taken away from him. Cause he raised me. Like, that's kind of where I was in life. And that's the goal you want for your kid, is to have success and, to reach that point. Well, I made it there. And like I said, I wish we could have, fixed our relationship as I was still racing. But just, didn't get to do that. And, I hope, there's people out there that can
hear this
while
and
still
understand.
racing and don't kind of pass up, too much time.
And I'm glad, because, Spotty, especially your age, RJ, would not have the knowledge and the wisdom to separate that, knowing that you could not cure his demons. Like, if somebody, they'll take, that could have negatively affected your career, your life, your headspace, all that stuff. And I'm so glad that, you were able to, for your own peace, separate that and do what you had to do to be a success on your own. I mean, that says a lot about the man you are.
Dude, man, that's so hard to do. Like, and I struggled with it, man. Yeah. It was not an easy kind of task. And, it took years for me to even get to that point. Like, I've tried it before and, tried to forget, and it just kind of kept happening. And, you just get to a point where you're so kind of over it, and, you kind of got to look past it, where, hey, look, you can't make their decisions for them. And that's kind of exactly what, I did. Like, look, you want more from someone than what they want for themselves. And you can't change that. Like, he grew up had an awesome life and made, unbelievable kind of experiences. And you just get put into a point where, look, I'm 28 years old and, have a family of my own at this point. And, you want what's best for your family now. So you're going to make kind of those calls based off of what you see and what you believe in. And, that's where I was.
That's so honest. That's neat. And, you're a girl dad. I'm a girl dad. And, man, with my dad raising up, he was a Marine, and it was, there's so many things that I learned that were great from him, work ethic and, discipline, all those things. But there was a lot of stuff I did not pass on to my kids as a parent. And that's all you can do as a parent, is take what your parents gave you is all the good things, and you pass that on, and then you learn from their mistakes, and you make sure that isn't, instilled into your children. And that's all we can do, man. That's literally all you can do. That's all you can be responsible for, is your own family in the end. And that sounds like that's what you chose to do. That's good for you.
Yep. Yeah. And like, my dad's work ethic and the way he treated people and the heart he had, man, like, that's, you want that in everybody. Yes. And that's, something I definitely want to, pass on to my kids. And, you can see that in myself and my life and in my riding. Like, that's who I am now. So, you take the positives, live with them, take the negatives, and, you try to not carry that on to the next generation and in your family.
Well, you're a hell of a man outside of a racing, and at this point, after all the time we've done this, dude, I racing results, championships, all that stuff. I mean, I'm about humans. I'm about who that person is off the bike. And you've always been that. You've forever ups and downs. You have never once been not been the person that you are right now after winning that championship. You're the exact same person you were through the struggles, through all that stuff, and so it sounds like you took the best of what your dad gave you, and you made the best of that, and then everything else you filled in those blanks yourself, and you're standing on that, and good for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Like I said, I've talked to my wife and stuff about this, but I haven't really kind of went out and I felt like I could tell my story and it would relate to a lot more people than you would think. And who knows, maybe they hear this and can kind of make that change, like I said earlier, than what I did or was able to. But yeah, man.
And it was
like I was in a rough spot there for a few weeks, and I got that motivation. I got that itch back where now it's like, okay, look, I'm ready to go racing. I'm fully invested now in these next kind of few years of my life and kind of doing the best I can with my career.
What pulled you out? What was the day where you said, I'm done with this. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get back on the bike. I'm ready to get back on the horse, literally.
Man, it's hard to say like exactly. Like I went out, I've only been out to the track a couple of days. Since I've been hurt, and I think it was about, I'd say the first time I went, so probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And, it was the same with those guys. Like I haven't really been around any of them. Like all the training I've been doing is just kind of by myself. And, I spent a lot of time with my family during this time. And then, I went out there and just kind of BSing with Malcolm. And then, honestly, man, when I went to California for that, media day and stuff, and got to hang out with the team a bit and just kind of, I don't know, felt refreshed and almost kind of like pissed off. Like, man, I should be riding right now. Like, I know I can.
That's good. That's good.
Like, I was mad, and then like just watching the guys, I'm like, dang, like, man, I can do this, or I can do that, or whatever else. And kind of flew back from there. And so I wouldn't even say that was only 2 weeks ago where I got that back. Now I was like, okay, now I've literally just kind of all I've been thinking about and focused on. And I'm excited to get on the bike tomorrow, if you can't tell.
And your dad would be pissed if you just gave up and sat there and let that affect you. That would be the last thing he would want you to do.
Yeah, exactly. He'd be mad that I'm not already on the bike right now. Like he would have been out there with the thing still in half.
You mentioned all the people that showed up there, and like you said, there's thousands of relationships you don't even know that your dad probably made throughout his life, and when it's all said and done, and when that's the you look at that and you looked at that with some pride, you're like, this is what he was, this is who he was, and that goes to show you that regardless of what he was fighting, that was his heart. That's the man he was, but beneath whatever else he was struggling with, and that's got to be a comforting thing in the long term. Is that's who Ricky was, that's who your dad was.
Yeah, exactly. And man, honestly, like I'm talking about it now, but I kind of literally from the day it happened, where it was like, look, I need to make a speech at the funeral, at the service, and and man, kind of, I went into a little bit more detail with you guys, but man, I sat up there for a good 5 to 10 minutes talking strictly just kind of off of heart. Like I didn't write anything down.
That's great.
And I'd say there's only probably 300-400 people that could actually hear it. Because like I said, a lot of people couldn't get in there. But just, gave a good kind of glimpse of, what my dad was and who he was. Kind of what we fought, throughout our relationship. And man, it was just, kind of tough to even really talk about. So.
Well, thank you. Hey, thank you for sharing this tonight. Like I said, I wasn't even going to bring this up. If you didn't put that on Instagram, I never would have brought it up. But I mean, you publicly, acknowledge your dad and the love for him and your memories. And I love that picture you posted there at Loretta's where, pretty much all started. And so I'm like I said, thank you for being so honest with this. I know that hopefully it was cathartic and helped you a little bit just to be able to say outside of that setting with your family and friends. And like you said, this could hopefully help some people, because you and I know we've been around this long enough that's 90% of the relationships with parents out there right now. It's a very contentious one as they come up, because it is that the pressure of the amateurs and then turning pro. It's you go from everything to a shadow figure, and it's a tough adjustment for sure.
Yeah, and it's you want so much, and I see it with my kids now. Like you want your kids to be successful. Mm-hmm. Like that's 100% what every parent wants of their kid. And, you want them to grow up and to not be dependent on anyone and, figure life out.
Sure.
And yeah, that's where we were. And I fear that, or I hope that I'm never in that situation where I can't kind of separate myself from, my kids making that next step in life and, starting their own family and, not depending on me anymore. And that's the biggest thing where I see in our sport is, they don't need their parents there as what, they did their whole life anymore. And it's so hard to, make that switch and move on to the next chapter.
But RJ, that's the ultimate compliment. When you raise a child that goes on to succeed, that should be, your trophy. That should be your as a parent, you did your job. I mean, and I feel the exact same way. Having an independent, strong-minded child is that would be like, that's perfect. Like, I've done my job and now live your life. I mean, unfortunately, you can't always instill that in somebody else's, goals, but you and I are the same. It's like, that would be a success story for me, not a sad story.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to be able to still be involved in their life.
Yeah.
And, from myself, at least, it was like, look, I want you to love my kids as much as what you loved me, growing up. Like, it's not about me anymore. It's, about my kids. And it's not even like some of these parents are going through that with their kid right now or racing or whatever, and they don't have kids or, whatever it is, but maybe it's a wife or a girlfriend or, just something along those lines where it's like, okay, now they're part of you, like they're part of me. So it's like, look, if I love them just as much as you love me, like you should love them the same, way.
100%.
Yeah. And I don't know, man, I could sit here and kind of talk about it. I have it figured out because I didn't have it figured out. I just know this from personal experience now, where I'm at and, what could have been different, or I don't know what can help someone else.
Well, we'll shift gears on that, but man, thank you for being honest. This is literally one of my favorite things, because the honesty and humanity of that is and then, like, even after talking, like you mentioned, Chad reached out, which was awesome, because he was going to write a book about how much he hated his dad. I mean, he was that mad at his dad, and at the end he realized that that wasn't the important thing, and that his dad is, with all his flaws, did the best he could, because you don't know how he was raised, you don't know their circumstances come. I mean, you just can't put that baggage on somebody. So this was a great lesson. There's no doubt. Hey, what are you hearing about all of the all that KTM parent company crap? Are you guys hearing anything about 2025? Are you scared to death? Are you worried?
Man, you're hitting me with it all tonight.
Hey,
I can talk about it though and not get in trouble because I kind of know where we're at. Yeah. Well, it's like, look, KTM's been in this situation before years ago. And I've said this also, like, we have a great product. We have a great bike. Like, I would not be worried about, KTM going away. We are kind of restructuring. Yep. That's how they say it also. Like, yep. We're definitely downsizing a bit. We still have a full team. It is honestly pretty cool. It's just Malcolm and I on,
I saw that
this year.
Yep.
Which is cool. I mean, two kind of kids that grew up in Florida and known each other our whole lives are now on a factory team, just literally by ourselves, and the team's kind of built around us. but yeah, I wouldn't stress too much about it. Like the North America side of KTM is doing really well.
Right.
Yeah, we have a big debt, but I know they have a few kind of outcomes or ways that they're going to get out of it. They have a couple plans. I mean, I read the same stuff you guys read with all the, articles and whatever else. And any media outlet's going to make it sound a lot worse than what it actually is.
Well, that's the whole thing. Is if it was American based, this would not be an issue. It would already been a bankruptcy restructuring, and they would have moved on. Austria is just a little bit different with their laws, and I just. I mean, it's hard to say, and like there's so many, like just even their hourly work, like they can't work as many hours as the U.S. can. Like their government has to help, fund it, and totally different.
Yeah. So it's a lot different over there. And there's another company over there that's going through the same kind of restructuring phase.
Right.
That is also very big. And so it's not just KTM. And honestly, all these other manufacturers are in the same kind of position we are with bike sales. They're right there with us. They just had other outlets to, get their funding from or water sports or cars or whatever that is.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, we're dirt bikes. Like, we strictly are off-road, going racing. So yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I'm, happy with where I'm at. We're still going racing. We're a full effort. I mean, yeah, be the same team as what we were last year.
And that's awesome. So that's all the hard questions. I promise you. we'll get the Dunlop 5 questions and let you get going. Dunlop, the best tires in the business. Make sure you check them out at Ride Dunlop. All right, this is some fun questions. So we'll end it on a high note. What was your famous or favorite Christmas present growing up? Was it a bike? I never got a bike for Christmas, so I can't brag on that because I had an older brother. We'd have to share. That would suck.
Dude, I don't think I ever got a bike either.
Yeah, see?
Man, I don't know. That's a tough question.
Okay, favorite Christmas movie. Yeah. How about that one? That's easy.
Oh, the Elf.
Hey, if it wasn't Elf or Christmas Vacation, you and I were going to fight. we were going to have it out. It was going to be. I've watched my wife. She cringes every time I'm flipping through the channels an Elf song because no matter what part of the movie it's on, I will stop and finish watching whatever that channel is. And it's like, how many times do you have to watch? I'm like, it's 1 month a year. Just leave me alone. I'm going to watch my Will Ferrell.
I hate watching movies over again, and that is about the only movie that I can watch a few times and not get over it.
What autograph do you remember getting your first autograph? Asking a rider or somebody for?
I'd say James, probably Stewart, at one of the Daytona.
Okay. That's awesome. What famous person or athlete would you want to meet right now? Probably maybe a baseball player?
I mean, dude, Freddie Freeman. I'm a big, I like him a lot, but I mean, other than that, I mean, honestly though, I probably have a really good chance at beating Freddie Freeman, but if I put it together, I know he goes to G's a lot and stuff out in California.
Oh wow!
And there's a couple other
dude. Happen to have an appointment before or after. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to schedule that one. But dude, honestly, in this kind of this year and where we're at in this world, Trump would be my my go-to. That's life altering. Freddie's a baseball player. That's a world leader. So I can totally get that one. I don't think I have those pulls to make that one happen. Does he go to Dr. G? That would be funny as shit. Dude, Dr. G sees everybody. I swear to God, I would not even be surprised, other than it being California, that Dr. G. He does all the politicians. He does everybody. Max Verstappen's at Dr. G's right now. I know it. Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, what's your cheat food? I know you're in shape and all that stuff, but when you nobody's looking, what are you chowing down on? I mean, dude, pizza, like a actual legit pizza that has gluten in it, would be my go-to. Because I mean, I'm gluten free, so I'll eat gluten free pizza every once in a while. But there's not like a legit pizza with real gluten. Yeah, you can't.
So are you gluten free by choice, for allergies, or for health?
For health. Like, dude, I went through a stage where my stomach was a wreck here just a year and a half ago or whatever. So gluten was one of my main kind of signals, and I have a autoimmune disease, which is thyroid issues and all that, and just kind of the gluten. I don't know. I listen to the doctor on that. Something about gluten, and there's signs and signals, and I don't know. Too scientific for me on that one.
So, what would happen to you if you ate a Krispy Kreme donut? Would you have to lay down for 3 days if you had a Krispy Kreme donut?
I mean, my stomach would be a wreck. It's not terrible, but man, my stomach would be upside down.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that chocolate covered Krispy Kreme donuts are my, I could stop when they have that little sign up in the window. I don't know if they have down there in Florida or not. They have a little hot and fresh sign with it's done. Oh, yeah. I will pull in and I could literally eat 6 donuts right there in the parking lot. And I'm in shape. I'm the same weight as I was 15. I mean, I'm in shape. I still, run and bike and all that stuff, but that is my one weakness. Those things just melt in your damn mouth. And my sister is gluten free. Every time I go to her house, I have to bring my own food because gluten free means to me taste free. There is nothing that tastes good about gluten free shit. RJ,
tell me about we have Thanksgiving dinner and stuff with my wife's family, and each year there's gluten free stuffing, gluten free you name it, it's all gluten free.
It's garbage. It tastes like shit. Just admit it, though. You can admit that it does not taste as good as the real. I mean, the pilgrims would be pissed if they made your shit taste like that. It's
I agree with you.
That is,
but the bad thing is the people that are gluten free have to act like it actually tastes good. I'm just oh, this is amazing. I just tell myself that it tastes good.
Yeah, she gives me a cookie. She's oh my god, it tastes just like an Oreo. I'm like, fuck, it does not taste like an Oreo. It tastes like cardboard. What are you talking about?
Nothing stays together either if it's gluten free.
So I will stop and bring my own food to her family gatherings because potato salad, just anything. It's just normal stuff because you can't use gluten, man. You can't use anything so it's just everything tastes different. So I refuse to even try anymore. So now I just bring my own food.
I'm not that bad.
And you understand. Well, dude, it took 6 months for us to catch up, but it's always a blast. Thank you for this interview. Thanks for everything you've done. I said it on X when you got that championship. That was my favorite one ever, just because I've seen what you've been through, the ups and downs, perseverance. I mean, you never give up, dude. You are that is your MO, and that's going to carry you well into the 450s as well. So whatever coast you end up on, kick some ass. I hope it's the West Coast and you whip Deegan's ass, but wherever you go, just do what you do, man, and we've got your back here in Atlanta.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, RJ. Talk to you soon, brother.
Have a good one.
All right, good night.
Yeah.
There we go, RJ Hampshire. Wow, that was good. That was good for many, many reasons. And I think you guys have listened to our show long enough know that we care about human beings and all that stuff. And RJ is one of those great guys. So dadgum, that was really good. So, hey, man, thanks to our sponsors who make all this possible. RacerX, MX Sports, W Wheels. Just got some information on Ricky Carmichael's Supercross race there at Daytona. Hopefully we'll be down there announcing that as we always do. W Wheels, the best wheels in the business. OGO Concept 2 Rowers. Greg Hammond, I told you that we'd support you forever, and I mean it. And of course, Dunlop Tires, the best tires in the business, including the all-new Geomax factory spec tire with custom rubber compound and optimized profile and reinforced sidewalls. Available this month. Check them out at Ride Dunlop. So, guys, thanks again. We got the DeCoster, Jet Lawrence, Faulkner, Villeman, Zacho. We got a bunch of pods in there. So, if you guys, thank you for listening. I know there's a million options out there, but thanks for the support over the years. And I guess we're back when we're back. Peace.
This is Justin Brayton, David Iser, and Kevin Keller, a bunch of clowns. You can go ahead and turn your radio off now.
Get ready, America, because WUSA is your #1 source for quality wheel sets in America. WUSA offers all the top brands that you and the world's best racers know and trust, like Reed, Dungey, Millsaps, Tickle, Sealy, Short, and more. All rely and trust WUSA, because all our wheels are built right in our shop in Orange, California. And if you wanted custom made for your bike, like the world's best freestyle riders, Renner, Deegan, Adams, Madison, Mason, Sherwood, and others, you can choose different spoke and nipple colors for a completely custom look that'll dazzle you. Off-road riding, WUSA can build you wheels for the absolute toughest of conditions. And W also offers DID and Excel rims, along with OEM replacement spoke and nipple kits for your stock hubs. Need brakes? W offers the industry's best oversized and standard brake kits from Galfer and Brembo. Just see your local dealer or visit us at WUSA.com. Hey, you can also download the most current W catalog from the iTunes App Store. WUSA, DUBYA USA. It doesn't get any better than us.
You listen to us because we are motorcycle guys. You might even call us gurus. We are awesome.
I've been called a lot worse than that, Kevin Kelly.
Yeah, we're the guys. We know everything. I know everything about you. I know everything about movies. I know everything about the space shuttle launches and the crashes. Everything.
And because you turn to us for motorcycle knowledge, we only tell you about what's the best, Kevin, because our spotless reputation that we've built for 16 years is on the line. That's why.
Yeah, and I would not risk my crappy reputation on just anybody. That's why we are telling you about Dunlop tires. It's what we have on our bikes. I have a fleet of motorcycles, and they all have fresh, crispy Dunlops on them. If the pros have them, you know us amateurs are going to have them. They're good enough for them. They got to think they're good enough for us dorks.
Too good for Dunlops, you're a tire snob. We want nothing to do with you.
Yeah, good luck with that. But not just the pros use them. Everyday riders agree, and they have the testing to back it up. You can't beat the quality of Dunlop motorcycle tires.
Let's wrap this bad boy up, Kevin. Whether you're on the dirt, the road, or the track, you can depend on Dunlop. To learn more about their products, visit DunlopMotorcycleTires.com or your local pro dealer. The amateur guys are working their way up. Go to a Dunlop pro dealer. Check them out. We love them. You will too.